establishment of Botanic Gardens Conservation International in 1987 was a real milestone for the international botanic garden community. When botanic gardens were first created, they were primarily focused on growing exotic plants. Over the last few decades since the establishment of BGCI, they have become so much more focused on native plant diversity.
They have a history going back hundreds of years, but they've really grasped the conservation challenge over the past 30 years.
When BGCI was established, there were somewhat less than 800 botanic gardens. Today, there are almost 3,000 botanic gardens worldwide.
The fundamental point about a botanic garden is it grows plants, and these plants are then available for all kinds of use, for study, for research, for conservation, for exploitation, and so on. And what is more, they have helped public appreciation of the dilemma of plant conservation and helped people understand the importance of plants on the one hand and the consequences if we lose plant diversity on the other hand.
The loss of plant diversity is important because it reduces our options. For many of these plant species, we don't know their function, we don't know how they can be useful. The breadth of plant diversity gives us opportunities, human innovation, adaptation, and resilience. BGCI, since it started 30 years ago, has seen the degradation of the environment get worse, not better. We're understanding more and more the impacts of climate change. We've transformed 50% of the terrestrial landscape, largely for agriculture, but also for urbanization. We're losing plant species at an accelerated rate. That means the problem is even more urgent today. It isn't enough to tell the world that there's a problem. We need to be deploying our 60,000 horticulturists, scientists, educators outside our garden walls to work with society to solve these problems.
We've just completed the first World List of Trees, Global Tree Search.
We're safeguarding plant diversity for the future by collecting and banking seed.
We're creating an early warning system for new and emerging pests and diseases to protect plant life.
I want to inspire people to appreciate and learn about plants.
We have the Global Tree Assessment looking at the threat to species. We have the Global Trees Campaign, action on the ground. We have the Global Seed Conservation Challenge, collecting and storing seeds against extinction. The Ecological Restoration Alliance. Well, our roadmap is the global strategy for plant conservation. That is the overarching plan that we have there. And BGCI's role really is coordinating action within that framework. So it's about connecting people, it's about sharing knowledge, and ultimately about saving plants. Connecting people isn't just about connecting our own community through our congresses, through our publications and so on. It's also about working with broader society. So for example, the Global Trees Campaign, all of our projects work with local communities where tree species are in trouble.
Well, I'm very proud and excited about the Global Trees Campaign, which is identifying which tree species are most threatened with extinction and then planning action to make sure that they are effectively conserved.
So this is April the 17th, 2017. We're at the head of the Dangchu Valley. We're climbing our first tree in the 2017 seed collecting expedition for the Sentinel Conservation Project.
These are mature cones that we're targeting, which I suspect will be at least 2 years old.
This tree is about 53 metres high, and we've got two tree climbers, one in each tree on the left and the right. throwing down branches and collecting seed. The seed is for a conservation project in the Dangchu Valley where they're looking to establish new forests throughout their village lands. It's a village community project.
What you need to do is very carefully take them out of your bag and put them in.
BGCI works with Botanic Gardens to provide training, support and techniques in public engagement. Public engagement is important to all of BGCI's work because if we want to make a difference in plant conservation, then we need to change attitudes and we need people to take ownership of their local areas and local species and understand the difference that they can make.
So sharing knowledge is about our training. We train hundreds of people each year in plant conservation policy, practice and education. But it's also about the data services that we provide. Our database is plant search, threat search, global tree search.
Global tree search is a list of 60,065 trees, species, which are all of the world's trees and their country level distributions. Without a list of the world's trees, we don't know what we need to prioritise and what needs conservation action to ensure that no tree species goes extinct.
So the end result of that data sharing is that we can say to Botanic Gardens, you have these threatened species within your sphere, within your neighbourhood. What are you going to do about it and how can we help you to conserve them?
I'm here in Baja California Sur, Mexico, researching an endangered oak species called Quercus brandegii. It only occurs in this small location on the Baja California Peninsula, and researchers have noticed that there are no new trees growing in the wild. This puts it at risk of extinction. So we're here investigating what is preventing regeneration in the wild in order to protect this species in the future.
So the International Plant Sentinel Network is an early warning system for new and emerging pests and diseases. With the increased globalisation of trade, lots more pests and diseases are coming in on plant material.
This insect, Asian longhorn beetle, is an example of one of the pests that we're working hard to try and keep out of the UK. It's been introduced to North America over the last probably 20 years or so and has caused the loss of literally millions of trees. And oak processionary moth is an example of a pest which is not only damaging to trees but also damaging to human and animal health.
The International Plant Sentinel Network supports plant health research in botanic gardens and arboreta. Some of the things that we do is provide training resources. So this is help on biosecurity or general plant health identification. And in that way we can instigate good management of those organisms, so we can either eradicate them, contain them, or, which is the preferable method, is we can prevent them from coming in the first place.
So we're engaging with botanic gardens to really work outside their garden walls to collect and conserve species that are threatened. It'll help conservation because by seed banking you have a safeguard, so if the species becomes extinct in the wild you have that seed to be able to restore the natural habitats.
This kind of integrated plant conservation is exemplified by a project we have in Malawi at the moment conserving the Mulanje cedar, Malawi's national tree. That involves collecting the seeds, storing them in the seed bank, but then growing them in nurseries for reintroduction back onto the mountain where that particular plant lives. The reason I love working at BGCI is summed up in two words: passion and potential. I meet passionate people all over the world, passionate about plants and particularly the plants that they know a great deal about. But I think as a network, as this wonderful network of expertise, we have tremendous potential to do something really significant.
BGCI really punches above its weight. It makes an enormous difference for plant conservation.
If we are to succeed in safeguarding the plant diversity of the world in the future, we will need to have strong botanic gardens and continued great leadership from BGCI.
There's no technological reason why any plant species should become extinct. I want to be able to look my daughter in the eye and say that I did everything humanly possible about the loss of plant diversity.
The thing that inspires me to work with Botanic Gardens and Arboreta is the people. They're trained, they're passionate, and they're a joy to work with.
I just really love plants and being able to actually do some work that's making a difference in conservation and working for the future.